Summary of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Chapter 1 of Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robbert Kiyosaki is titled Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and it sets the stage for the rest of the book. The chapter begins with Kiyosaki describing how he grew up with two father figures, his real father, whom he refers to as his poor dad, and the father of his best friend, whom he calls his rich dad. Kiyosaki contrasts the two fathers' views on money and finances. His poor dad, a highly educated man and a government employee, believed that the key to financial success was to get a good job with a steady paycheck and work hard for the rest of his life. His rich dad, a successful entrepreneur, saw money and finances differently. He taught Kiyosaki about the importance of financial education, investing, and building businesses. Kiyosaki goes on to explain that the lessons he learned from his rich dad were the foundation of his financial success as an adult. He also notes that he believes financial education is not emphasized enough in schools, and that many people are not taught the skills they need to be financially successful. The chapter ends with Kiyosaki describing his own financial struggles before he started applying the lessons he learned from his rich dad. He acknowledges that financial success is not easy, but that with the right mindset and education, anyone can achieve it. Chapter 2 of Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robbert Kiyosaki is titled, The Rich Don't Work for Money. In this chapter, the author reflects on the lessons he learned from his rich dad, who taught him about the difference between working for money and having money work for you. Kiyosaki begins by sharing a story about how he and his best friend Mike would work for his rich dad during the summer, earning 10 cents an hour. When they asked for a raise, the rich dad instead offered to teach them how to make money for themselves. The rich dad began by explaining the concept of financial independence, which he defined as having enough income from assets to cover one's expenses. He stressed that the key to financial independence was to focus on acquiring assets rather than working for money. Kiyosaki's rich dad taught him about the importance of financial education and how it was essential to becoming financially independent. He believed that schools did not teach people about money, and that it was up to individuals to educate themselves. The author also learned about the different mindsets of rich and poor people when it comes to money. Rich people, according to the rich dad, think about opportunities to acquire assets that will generate income, while poor people focus on working for money and spending it on expenses that do not increase their wealth. Kiyosaki concludes the chapter by emphasizing the importance of taking action and learning from one's mistakes. He suggests that people should not be afraid to take risks and make mistakes, as they are essential for learning and growing. Chapter 3 of Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robbert Kiyosaki is titled, Why Teach Financial Literacy? In this chapter, Kiyosaki talks about the importance of teaching financial literacy to children from an early age. Kiyosaki shares that he learned about money from his rich dad, who taught him the importance of financial education and how to think like an entrepreneur. In contrast, Kiyosaki's poor dad, who was highly educated and successful, had limited financial intelligence and struggled financially. Kiyosaki emphasizes that financial literacy is not just about learning how to make money, but also about understanding how money works and how to manage it effectively. He believes that many people are trapped in a cycle of debt and financial insecurity because they lack basic financial knowledge. Kiyosaki encourages parents to take an active role in teaching their children about money, rather than relying on schools to provide financial education. He suggests that parents can use everyday experiences, such as grocery shopping or paying bills, to teach children about money management. In conclusion, Chapter 3 of Rich Dad, Poor Dad stresses the importance of financial literacy and encourages parents to take responsibility for teaching their children about money. Chapter 4 of Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robbert Kiyosaki is titled, The History of Taxes and the Power of Corporations. In this chapter, Kiyosaki discusses the history of taxes and how they have been used to control people throughout history. He also talks about the power of corporations and how they can be used to reduce taxes. Kiyosaki starts the chapter by discussing the origins of taxes, which he says can be traced back to ancient times. He explains that taxes were used by kings and rulers to control their subjects, and that the concept of taxation has been used in various forms throughout history. Kiyosaki then goes on to talk about the power of corporations and how they can be used to reduce taxes. He explains that corporations are considered legal entities that are separate from their owners, which allows them to take advantage of certain tax benefits. For example, corporations can deduct expenses from their taxes, which can help reduce their overall tax burden. Kiyosaki also discusses the concept of asset protection, which involves using legal structures such as corporations to protect one's assets from lawsuits and other legal liabilities. He explains that this is a common practice among wealthy individuals and that it can be a powerful tool for reducing taxes and protecting assets. Overall, Chapter 4 of Rich Dad, Poor Dad provides a brief overview of the history of taxes and the power of corporations. Kiyosaki emphasizes the importance of understanding these concepts in order to achieve financial success and to protect one's assets from legal liabilities. In Chapter 5 of Robert Kiyosaki's book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, the author discusses how the rich invent money. He explained that those who are financially free have a different mindset when it comes to money, and that mindset allows them to create wealth and financial independence. Kiyosaki asserts that the rich do not work for money, but rather they make money work for them. In this chapter, we will delve into the details of Lesson 5 and explore how the rich invent money. To start, it's important to understand Kiyosaki's definition of money. He explains that money is not just currency or physical cash, but it also encompasses assets and investments that generate cash flow. According to Kiyosaki, the rich understand this concept and use it to their advantage. They do not focus solely on earning a paycheck or accumulating wealth, but instead they focus on building assets that generate passive income. One way that the rich invent money is through entrepreneurship. Kiyosaki asserts that successful entrepreneurs create new products or services that solve problems for others. They do not just rely on their own labor to make money, but instead they leverage other people's labor to create wealth. By starting a business and hiring employees, entrepreneurs are able to generate passive income from their business even when they are not physically present. Another way that the rich invent money is through investing. Kiyosaki established the fact that the rich do not just save their money in a bank account or invest in traditional stocks and bonds. Instead, they invest in assets that generate passive income, such as real estate or businesses. For example, purchasing rental property can provide a steady stream of passive income through rental payments. Investing in a business can also provide passive income through dividends or profits. Kiyosaki also emphasizes the importance of financial education when it comes to inventing money. He said that those who are financially literate understand how money works and are able to make better financial decisions. They are able to identify opportunities to create wealth and avoid financial traps that may lead to debt and financial struggles. Kiyosaki encourages readers to invest in their financial education by reading books, attending seminars, and seeking out mentors who are successful in their own financial endeavors. In addition, Kiyosaki stresses the importance of taking calculated risks when it comes to inventing money. He acknowledges that all investments come with a certain level of risk, but explained that those who are financially savvy are able to mitigate those risks through education and experience. He encourages readers to take calculated risks by investing in assets that have a proven track record of generating passive income. One of the key takeaways from Lesson 5 is that the rich do not rely solely on their labor to create wealth. Instead, they focus on building assets that generate passive income. Kiyosaki explains that by changing our mindset about money and investing in our financial education, we can also learn to invent money and achieve financial independence. It's worth noting that while Kiyosaki's ideas have garnered a lot of attention and followers, they have also been met with criticism. Some argue that his advice is too simplistic and does not take into account the realities of economic inequality and social mobility. Others argue that his emphasis on entrepreneurship and investing may not be feasible for those who come from disadvantaged backgrounds or who lack access to financial resources. Despite these criticisms, Lesson 5 of Rich Dad, Poor Dad offers valuable insights into the mindset and strategies of those who are financially successful. By focusing on building assets that generate passive income, investing in our financial education, and taking calculated risks, we too can learn to invent money and achieve financial independence. Chapter 6 of Rich Dad, Poor Dad is titled, Work to Learn. Work for Money. In this chapter, author Robbert Kiyosaki emphasizes the importance of focusing on education and skill building, rather than simply working for a paycheck. Kiyosaki argues that many people get stuck in a cycle of working hard at a job they don't enjoy, and then using their paycheck to buy things that they think will make them happy, but ultimately don't. He suggests that instead of focusing on money, people should focus on acquiring new skills and knowledge that can help them create wealth. Kiyosaki also discusses the concept of the rat race, which he defines as a never-ending cycle of working hard to earn money, spending that money on things they don't need, and then having to work even harder to earn more money to pay for those things. To break out of the rat race, Kiyosaki suggests that people should focus on acquiring skills that will allow them to create passive income streams, such as investing in real estate or starting a business. He also recommends that people work for free, or even pay for the opportunity to learn from successful mentors, as a way to gain valuable knowledge and experience. Overall, the message of this chapter is that focusing on education and skill building is the key to creating true financial freedom and breaking out of the rat race. Chapter 8, Mind Your Own Business. In this chapter, Kiyosaki discusses the importance of understanding the different financial statements of a business. He explained that by understanding how to read and interpret financial statements, investors can make better investment decisions. He began by explaining the three main financial statements of a business: the balance sheet, the income statement, and the cash flow statement. He then goes on to discuss each statement in detail, explaining what each item on the statement represents and how to interpret it. He explains that by analyzing the three statements together, investors can gain a better understanding of the financial health of a business. Overall, Chapter 8 of Rich Dad, Poor Dad provides a basic overview of financial statements and how to understand them. Kiyosaki emphasizes the importance of financial literacy for investors and explains that by understanding how to read and interpret financial statements, investors can make better investment decisions. Chapter 10, Overcoming Obstacles. In this chapter, Kiyosaki discusses the different obstacles that people face on their path to financial success. He also provides advice on how to overcome these obstacles. Kiyosaki begins by explaining that fear is the biggest obstacle to financial success. Fear of failure, fear of loss, and fear of the unknown can all prevent people from taking the risks necessary to achieve their financial goals. Kiyosaki also discusses the importance of financial education. He explained that many people are not financially successful because they simply don't know how money works. By educating themselves about money, people can make better financial decisions and avoid costly mistakes. Another obstacle to financial success is procrastination. Many people put off their financial goals until tomorrow, but tomorrow never comes. He encourages people to start taking action today to achieve their financial goals. If you enjoyed this overview of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I encourage you to read the book for more insights into the mindset and strategies of the wealthy. It's a valuable resource for anyone who wants to achieve financial success. Please also like and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. I regularly share tips, advice, and summaries of books on personal finance and how to achieve your financial goals.